Alaska. Here, everything's bigger, badder, and more extreme. Treacherous terrain, vicious weather, colossal wildlife, and the most destructive natural forces of any state in America. However you measure it, Alaska buries the competition. Now, the tough guys, the powerful machines, and the awesome forces of nature that make Alaska most extreme. Alaska is a place so big, so wild, that nature's raw, unstoppable forces really do burst at the seams. To make matters worse, Alaska's climate is the most extreme in the country, with temperatures that plunge far below zero and storms that shut down normal life for days at a time. Its sheer size is mind-boggling. 1,400 miles north to south and 2,500 miles across, Alaska nearly spans the width of the lower 48 states, coast to coast. These vast distances are filled with some of the most treacherous terrain on Earth: Arctic tundra, rugged coastline, and the highest mountains in North America. In this land of extremes, there's nowhere to hide from nature's wrath. Even big cities are at risk, as residents of Juneau, Alaska's capital, were about to find out. Juneau is located in the southeast panhandle, a city of 30,000 isolated by rugged mountains and sea. Not one road leads in or out. Juneau is perched directly below a dozen avalanche chutes, the largest urban avalanche danger zone in America. In January, 4 feet of snow buries Juneau, priming the mountains with deadly avalanches just waiting to happen. Without warning, a barrage of slides lets loose. One buries a main road under 15 feet of snow, stranding residents for days. Another monster avalanche sweeps down a mountain outside town, knocking over a transmission tower and wrecking electric lines. Juneau's entire electric supply is cut. 15,000 homes and businesses go dark. Emergency repair crews mobilize within hours. But just getting into the remote work site is extremely difficult.
We don't have a road that goes along the transmission line, like most transmission lines in the lower 48, for example. And so all of the construction work and all of the maintenance work has to happen by helicopter.
It's a 40-mile-long trip through some of the toughest terrain in the world. Treacherous flying conditions in Alaska's panhandle claim many aircraft and lives each year. The helicopter pilot manages to drop the gear and men onto a jerry-rigged landing pad on the steep mountainside. But they are now standing on top of a snowy powder keg, left wondering where the next blow will hit.
We had a slide come down just on the other side of the trees, came down all the way to the ocean. Everybody's wearing locators so they can find us just in case something comes down on us.
The avalanche scores a direct hit on one tower and damages the arms on the next one over. Today's job? Climb this 110-foot-high tower and strengthen it enough to hold a new transmission line.
That guy is stretched. You can see he took a lot of hit when that wire went down.
We're going to try to do some support rigging on this tower so that those arms don't rip off. Get a good eye on it before anybody even thinks about getting out on it.
They have to free climb the tower, with no idea if it will hold the weight of 3 men.
Go for it. Coming up.
One wrong move, one slip, will prove fatal.
Got you, Jason. Okay.
Crew boss Eric Nielsen knows the dangers well. This is his 12th avalanche repair job.
Take your time, bro. Wires are under 4,000 pounds of tension, pulling all different directions. If any one thing gives loose, all that stuff goes flying through the woods, and then you're right on the end of it. There's a whole bunch of stuff that can go wrong.
Jason makes a chilling discovery.
Hey, hold up! One of these strands in this guy whip's almost gone.
One of them is cut.
It's gone. It ain't worth a
Well, when the tower shifted, it broke the end of the guy wire. It broke some strands up there, so it's not the full strength. So it's probably half as strong as it used to be.
The men's lives are literally hanging by a frayed guy wire, 110 feet up in the air.
The way the structure is built, if any one of these guy wires breaks, the tower falls over. What do you think?
I think we're probably all right.
Short and sweet, and a chain hoist. Got a hoist coming over your head there, Vic.
One man leans out over the weak arm and fits it with a sling.
Yeah, right there. That's perfect. Jason was right out on the end of that arm.
They rig a hoist above, then attach it to the sling and begin to winch up the damaged arm.
There's probably 4,000 or 5,000 pounds pulling down on those, and these things are all made out of aluminum, so you hook to the wrong thing and everything's going to go south on you quick. You just got to take every day as you got it and just keep on fighting the fight, you know. That's a beer!
Finally, success. The tower is reinforced enough to support stringing a new line. But they've run out of daylight. Time to retreat before darkness or bad weather traps them on the mountain. 3 weeks later, the crews finally get the power lines back up and running. Juneau returns to a fragile peace with its snow-packed enemy, for now. But 600 miles northwest, the war still rages in a stretch of mountains known as Avalanche Alley. And here, the casualties are far greater. March 1999. Hundreds of people are out enjoying the deep powder. Snowmobilers compete to reach the highest point on the mountain. But below, weak snow layers set a deadly trap.
I had heard something across the valley, and I just whipped around, and this avalanche, it was just huge.
The weight of a snowmobile triggers a chain reaction.
It was just a giant smoke cloud, like a bomb went off or something.
The avalanche hits at 80 miles an hour, packing hundreds of tons of snow.
Smoke's down!
When the dust clears, 6 people are dead and buried. It's not an isolated tragedy. 12 people a year are killed in Alaska avalanches. But Alaskans don't take this deadly threat sitting down. Avalanche control teams from the Alaska Railroad and Department of Transportation are going on the offensive against Alaska's avalanches. Here in Avalanche Alley, the tracks of the Alaska Railroad and a major state highway snake through the peaks.
I'm with Avalanche Control, and we're going to blow the mountain, so there's about a 45-minute wait.
When snow loads build up too far on these steep slopes, tragedy strikes.
Department of Transportation workers found out firsthand how dangerous it is along the highway.
A series of slides buries the road and tracks.
An avalanche tossed a tractor like a toy, killing one man and devastating a community.
To prevent killer slides, the avalanche control crews make preemptive strikes.
What we like to do is shoot these avalanches down before it has a chance to come down naturally. We want to do it before we get a surprise. Clear.
Their weapons of choice are 105mm howitzers, some dating back to the Korean War. The crew fire shells into slopes up to 3 miles away. Each shell packs 6 pounds of explosives. In recent years, faulty charges have exploded in 3 guns, destroying them and killing a gunner. And there's no telling when the mountain will fight back.
Loaded. All clear, ready, fire! Oh, look at that. Look at that. That's going to be a good one.
The monster slide fails to stop when they think it should. Instead, it barrels straight for a security vehicle.
Jerry's backing up.
It's a very close shave.
Yeah.
Everyone's safe this time.
That's it. Ceasefire.
We're good to open, okay?
This section of the road corridor is hazard-free for the time being until we get some more weather moving in, and we'll deal with it then.
This round goes to the Alaskans, but it's a never-ending battle, and Alaska's killer avalanches will strike again somewhere down the road. In the largest, toughest state in the Union, there's no predicting where the next deadly blow will fall. Alaska's treacherous terrain and weather stop travelers dead in their tracks. Avalanches snuff out lives without warning. Run-ins with Alaska's wild creatures destroy vehicles and lives. In this most extreme land, size really does matter. Overcoming Alaska's immense distances is dangerous business. Here in the vast reaches of western Alaska, there are thousands of square miles of tundra and not a road in sight. But there are people, scattered in remote villages. Most all supplies come through Bethel, the commercial hub of western Alaska. Today, the U.S. mail is being loaded up for the village of Akichuk. Akiachuk lies 30 roadless miles away, one treacherous mail route. When temperatures plunge to 40 below zero and fierce blizzards strike, nothing can get through. Well, almost nothing. Mail carrier Kevin Carter has a secret weapon in the war against Alaska's extreme terrain and weather.
As soon as he's ready here, he'll give us a toot on the horn, and he'll give it full RPM on the lift, and we'll pull it out.
When the planes can't fly and the boats can't float, there's only one machine that can get the job done: the Alaska Hovercraft.
Get us moving nice and slow so we get a good view of up and down the river for traffic. This is our ship's log off at 11:21 from Bethel to Akichuk, Alaska. With about 12,500 pounds of food and mail.
In the Alaska bush, mail means a whole lot more than just letters.
We bring everything to them. I mean, from diapers to fried chicken. We've hauled lumber to villages, telephone poles. I think they even tied a boat on top one time to get it somewhere.
Today, he's delivering food to the village school. So if Kevin doesn't get through, Akiachuk's children will go hungry. Kevin's route follows the winding Kuskokwim River north through 30 miles of frozen wilderness. It's harrowing country. 7 planes delivering mail and cargo have wrecked out here in recent years. The hovercraft is outfitted to take on these harsh conditions. It climbs over 10-foot drifts and cruises over snow, ice, and water. The craft uses 2 powerful engine systems. One set pushes air through cones mounted underneath the hull. This creates the cushion of air that lifts the hovercraft. The second system provides thrust. Huge twin V12 engines power the 9-foot wide propellers at the rear of the craft. And when those props start spinning, stay clear.
It'll kill you. A lot of fast-moving parts. You get loose clothing caught on one of those bolt heads, and it just rip your arm right off your body.
Winds topping 40 miles per hour batter the giant vehicle, pushing it off course.
Right now we got a south wind, and the wind is pushing us on the side, so when we're kind of having to crab sideways a little bit.
The crew wrestles the 30-ton beast under control.
This is an ice road here, going downriver. Got a vehicle coming. All right, he's clear. A lot of people traveling right now to and from these closer villages. We try to give them leeway at all times because we don't want to hurt anybody.
Cruising at 35 miles an hour, this thing doesn't exactly stop on a dime.
It takes a while for us to slow down, especially with strong tailwinds.
But they can't slow down. The village of Akiachuk is counting on them. Their biggest fear is the unpredictable ice. Thin ice and open water can send vehicles and their drivers to a watery grave. More than 20 people have drowned here in the last decade. The hovercraft slides over dangerous ice holes, but other vehicles won't make it.
This thing goes over some ice that trucks shouldn't go over. It's So we had to get on the radio. Don't follow us. We're going places you shouldn't go.
Blizzards ground Bethel's cargo planes, so the hovercraft is the only hope left for Akiachuk.
Not much that stops us.
But Kevin still risks getting lost or stranded in the extreme weather. On the tundra, blinding snowfall cuts visibility to nearly zero. In whiteout conditions, the crew navigates the winding river by memory.
Say we got a blind corner coming up here. I can't see around that corner.
Getting lost is a death sentence. 6 people disappear or die of exposure here each winter. Luckily, the weather clears and they make it through safely. 30 frigid miles after launching, the crew finally pulls up to the riverbank beside Akiachuk. Within minutes, the villagers eagerly unload the 3 tons of food they've been waiting for.
It's important to the village because they get what they need. That would take about 12 to 14 airplane flights to do what we did in one trip.
This load will keep the village fed for another few weeks. They can rest a bit easier knowing that no matter how bad the weather, they've still got one lifeline to the outside world.
When the planes can't fly, they still get their food. At least the 8 villages we service do.
More than anywhere else, life in Alaska is ruled by the weather. Vicious, unpredictable, and most extreme. Valdez, on Alaska's central coast, is ground zero for extreme snowfall. Residents are digging out from a blizzard, and another storm is already on its way.
I think we've got 30-something inches in the last 24 hours.
At the State Highway Department, the road crew prepares for the worst. Their beat is the snowiest stretch of road on Earth, Thompson Pass in the Chugach Mountains.
Dale, would you take Route 3, head north? I'll take Route 2 and I'll head south.
Okay, sounds good.
As darkness falls, the plows set out for the long night ahead.
You gotta really pay attention. It's hard on the eyes at the end of the night. You'll see a lot of the drivers, they'll have bloodshot eyes at the end of the night just from the stress from the lights and the snow.
The pass is steep and winding, a treacherous run even in good weather. Giant snow-blowing machines and graders trail the plows to make room for all the snow yet to come. The Chugach Mountains rise 8,000 feet straight out of the sea along the Alaska coast. Warm weather fronts move across the Gulf of Alaska, gathering moisture. When storms hit the mountains, they dump precipitation in huge amounts. 974 inches of snow, over 80 feet, fell here in one winter, a world record.
Okay, Stu, I'm losing visibility up here, so I'm gonna have to cut you loose. It's snowing heavy down here, heaviest I've seen in a long time. You have a good one.
Okay, talk about these now.
They've got to keep the road open. Valdez is where crude oil from the Alaska pipeline is loaded onto tankers for shipment to the lower 48. Trucks hauling critical freight and fuel have just one route in, Thompson Pass.
Visibility is down to in front of the truck. We're gonna have to really concentrate here. We don't want to run off the road. But that chance always does exist.
There's no margin for error. One misstep means a deadly plunge.
You can look on the shoulder when we come up here and start to see the drifts starting to form, and then when we come back through it, you can see how quick they reform. It's like driving in a ping pong ball.
If they fall behind, the road will fill in within an hour. The wind gusts at 60 miles per hour, causing a whiteout.
We call it driving by braille. And you're just feeling your way down the road. I'm gonna try feeling my way around this corner here.
Dwight can't risk it. He switches to a real-time GPS display of the road ahead.
Right now it's showing me that I was a little bit over to the right too far. I just got back to the center line. At this point, you can hardly see in front of the truck here.
He's driving blind. Luckily, the computer performs perfectly, and Dwight barely has to slow down. By dawn, the worst is over. The tally, 40 inches of new snow fell in the last 36 hours. The crew's exhausted, but they made it through the night safely. and Thompson Pass is still open for business. Coming up, a jet flies straight into a volcanic ash cloud, killing its engines and forcing it into a death dive. Then, there's no escaping the wrath of the second largest earthquake ever recorded.
There was really no place to go. You can't run from an earthquake.
And later, it's man versus monster waves. This spring, Alaska's Mount Redoubt, one of the most dangerous volcanoes in North America, suddenly roars to life.
There's three areas of steam. 3 areas of steam, and right now we're picking up a little bit of sulfur smell in the air.
In Anchorage, just 100 miles downwind, people prepare for the fallout.
The ash will likely cover the ground for hundreds of miles.
Water, battery, and face mask aisle empty.
Mount Redoubt's last eruption, December 1989. It's a furious explosion. Toxic ash rains down on Alaska towns and cities. A jumbo jet on its approach to Anchorage flies into Redoubt's 10-mile-high ash plume. Shards of volcanic glass clog the engines. The Boeing 747, filled with hundreds of people, plummets 2 miles through the air. The pilots finally restart the engines and pull out of their death dive, just 13,000 feet above the ground. Today, Anchorage International, the country's busiest freight airport, is on high alert, with flight restrictions around the explosive Redoubt volcano. If the new ashfall heads this way, all flights will be grounded. Mount Redoubt is one of more than 40 active volcanoes that ring Alaska, erupting at the rate of nearly 2 a year. Alaska's killer volcanoes give some warning signs before they blow. But Alaska's most devastating force of nature strikes when it's least expected. Earthquake. Alaska is rocked by more than 12,000 earthquakes every year. Most hit remote areas. But North America's biggest earthquake ever struck where it hurt the most, Alaska's populated central coast. March 27, 1964, in the port of Valdez, townspeople gather at the docks to watch the freighter SS Chena unload.
It always was a big event in Valdez when the steamship came in, because that was our entertainment.
Just down the coast in Seward, nothing indicates that life as usual is about to end.
It was a normal day, really a quiet day.
But at 5:36 p.m., both towns suddenly come apart at the seams.
The first thing I noticed was the telephone and electric wires snapping, and they were popping, the trees were swaying back and forth, and the ground was just cracking all around us.
I don't know, like trying to walk on a trampoline. The ground was coming up, hitting the bottom of your feet.
There was really no place to go. You can't run from an earthquake.
Seward and Valdez are just miles away from the epicenter of the second largest earthquake ever recorded on Earth. 4 miles underground, the Pacific Plate buckles under the North American Plate, releasing the energy of 4 trillion pounds of explosives. On Seward's waterfront, an oil pipeline ruptures. The fuel tank farm erupts in flames, which quickly engulf the entire town. But the apocalypse is just getting started. Coming up, a violent shaking spawns one of the most terrifying natural forces on Earth, tsunami. Then, tough adventurers challenge Alaska's most extreme glaciers. March 27, 1964. Chaos reigns on Alaska's central coast as the most powerful earthquake in the history of America shakes for 4 long minutes. The town of Seward is on fire. In Valdez, the violent shaking triggers landslides in the bay, creating giant tsunamis. A 200-foot-tall wave slams into the freighter SS Chena.
The dock fell right in on top of the water. I saw the Chena
at this kind of an angle, just assumed it went straight in and sunk. And I never looked back.
In Seward, Doug McCrae runs from the oncoming tsunami.
Like a 747 trying to land on your roof. It was deafening, the noise then. We could hear the tidal wave, but we couldn't see it.
Doug's family scrambles to the roof of their house.
There was a house directly across the street from us, a white house. The tidal wave hit that white house. It just exploded. There was nothing left of it. It was gone.
As they cling together on the roof, their world falls apart around them.
There was probably 12 houses in that subdivision, 12 or 15 houses. And the tidal wave totally destroyed everyone except the one we were on.
Not everyone is so lucky. In Seward, 12 of Doug's neighbors die. Dozens are dead or missing in Valdez.
When you lose 32 lives, it ripples through the community. It's part of your family.
The Great Alaska Earthquake leaves 131 dead, hundreds more injured, and 5,000 homeless. Alaskans live under constant threat of attack by the most extreme seismic forces on Earth. They also live in the shadow of some of the largest moving objects in the world, glaciers. 100,000 glaciers are spread across Alaska. Just one of them alone, the Mammoth Bering Glacier, would cover the state of Rhode Island. Alaska's glaciers constantly grind forward with unstoppable force. Deep crevasses create deadly tombs of ice that have swallowed up more than 100 people. One of the most restless is Childs Glacier, 17 miles long and hundreds of feet thick. When this frozen monster slides into the sea, it bares its fangs. Chunks of ice the size of department stores fall or calve into the water, crushing anything in their path. Waves from calving glaciers swamp boats and drown people, so most keep a respectful distance. But not these two. They've come to challenge the glacier head-on or die trying. By any measure, Alaska is the most extreme state in the nation. Avalanches strike and kill without warning. Wild animals make it dangerous just to leave the house. Alaska's overwhelming size and vicious weather make getting around a dangerous challenge. Giant glaciers stalk the land, crushing anything in their path, and an arsenal of violent natural forces destroys towns and lives. It's a record-setting array of the toughest conditions on Earth, and you can only find it in most extreme Alaska.